Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, born on May 22, 1859, in Edinburgh, Scotland, was a prolific British writer, physician, and creator of the world's most famous fictional detective, Sherlock Holmes. His life was a tapestry of diverse experiences: medical practice, literary achievements, adventure, and spiritual exploration. His contributions to literature, particularly detective fiction, left an enduring legacy. Early life and education. Arthur Conan Doyle was born into a devout Roman Catholic family of Irish descent. His father, Charles Altamont Doyle, was a civil servant in the Edinburgh Office of Works and a talented but troubled artist who struggled with alcoholism and mental health issues. His mother, Mary Foley Doyle, was an intelligent and highly imaginative woman who played a crucial role in shaping young Arthur's literary sensibilities. She often read him stories, especially tales of chivalry and adventure, planting early seeds for his vivid imagination. Doyle attended Jesuit preparatory school Stonyhurst College in Lancashire from 1868 to 1875. Despite the rigid discipline, he cultivated a love for storytelling, cricket, and poetry. After Stonyhurst, he studied at the University of Edinburgh Medical School, graduating with a Bachelor of Medicine and Master of Surgery in 1881. It was during his university years that he began writing short stories. One of his earliest published stories, The Mystery of Sissasaw Valley, 1879, hinted at his narrative talent. Medical career and turn to writing. After completing his medical degree, Doyle began practicing medicine in Southsea, Portsmouth, while continuing to write in his spare time. Though he was a competent physician, he found his true calling in storytelling. His practice grew slowly, giving him time to develop his craft. In 1887, his breakthrough came with the publication of A Study in Scarlet, the first appearance of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson. Inspired partly by his former university professor Dr. Joseph Bell, who emphasized the importance of observation and deduction in diagnosis, Doyle created Holmes as a master of logic and forensic science. While the first Holmes story met with moderate success, it laid the foundation for what would become one of literature's most enduring characters. Literary fame and Sherlock Holmes. In 1890, The Sign of the Four introduced Holmes to a wider audience. Doyle's fame skyrocketed with the launch of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes in the Strand magazine, 1891. Readers were captivated by Holmes' brilliant mind and his eccentric personality. Dr. Watson's loyal companionship and narration made the stories accessible and engaging. Despite the series' popularity, Doyle grew weary of writing about Holmes, believing the character overshadowed his more serious literary ambitions. In 1893, he famously killed off Holmes in The Final Problem, plunging him to his death alongside Professor Moriarty at the Reichenbach Falls. The public outcry was so great that readers wore mourning bands and demanded his return. Eventually, Doyle revived Holmes in The Hound of the Baskervilles, 1902, and The Return of Sherlock Holmes, 1905. In total, Doyle wrote 4 novels and 56 short stories featuring Sherlock Holmes. These works not only transformed detective fiction but also popularized scientific methods in crime-solving well before forensic science became standard practice. Other literary works. Doyle's literary talents extended far beyond detective fiction. He wrote historical novels such as Micah Clarke, 1889, The White Company, 1891, and Sir Nigel, 1906, which reflected his interest in English history and chivalry. He also penned science fiction, including The Lost World, 1912, featuring the adventurer Professor Challenger. This novel, which explored a prehistoric plateau in South America, became another classic and inspired numerous adaptations. In addition to fiction, Doyle wrote essays, plays, poetry, and non-fiction works. His subjects ranged from military history to spiritualism. He was also a war correspondent during the Second Boer War and wrote The Great Boer War, 1900, which showcased his analytical skills and strong imperialist leanings. Personal life and spiritual journey. Doyle married his first wife, Louisa Hawkins, in 1885. They had 2 children together, Mary and Kingsley. Louisa suffered from tuberculosis for many years and died in 1906. In 1907, Doyle married Jean Leckie, with whom he had 3 more children, Dennis, Adrian, and Lena. Following the deaths of his wife, son Kingsley, from complications after World War I, brother, and other loved ones, Doyle became increasingly involved in spiritualism. He turned to seances and psychic phenomena in search of solace and answers. Though once a skeptic, he became a passionate advocate for spiritualism, believing that life continued after death. He traveled the world lecturing on the subject and wrote several books defending spiritualist beliefs, including The New Revelation, 1918, and The History of Spiritualism, 1926. His embrace of spiritualism was controversial and led to public debates, notably with magician and escape artist Harry Houdini, who challenged the authenticity of mediums. Despite their initial friendship, the 2 men grew apart over these ideological differences. Later years and legacy. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was knighted in 1902 by King Edward VII, partly in recognition of his writings supporting the British cause in the Boer War. He continued writing into his later years, although much of his time was devoted to promoting spiritualism. He passed away on July 7, 1930, at his home in Crowborough, Sussex, from a heart attack. His final words, reportedly spoken to his wife, were, "You are wonderful." Doyle left behind an enormous body of work and an unmatched legacy in detective fiction. Sherlock Holmes became an iconic figure worldwide, adapted into countless films, radio dramas, television series, and modern interpretations. Doyle's influence on literature, science, and popular culture remains profound to this day. Conclusion. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was much more than the creator of Sherlock Holmes. He was a complex and driven individual, a physician, a historian, a spiritualist, and a master storyteller. His life reflected the transitions of the late Victorian and Edwardian eras, marked by rational thought, imperial ambition, scientific progress, and a search for deeper spiritual meaning. Through his characters, especially Holmes, he gave the world a lens to explore the balance between logic and mystery, making him one of the most influential writers of all time.